Hi, and welcome to Dramatic Knits. My name is Steve, also known as Dramatic Knits.
And I'm Callie, also known as Calsters.
And today is Monday, April 4th, 2016. This is episode 251. If you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back one more week. And if you're new, hopefully you'll come back in the future. So, we've got both of us on board today. It is a Monday. It's not a normal Sunday. We've both worked a long day, so you know what that means. Eventually, it's going to get campy up in here, and we're going to get a little slap happy. I'm saying it's going to happen because that's usually the trend. Right now, I'm a little low energy. I'm a bit tired. Had to do a lot of errands after work. Had a big Chinese buffet dinner, and now I'm like feeling all like the sloth. So, rubbing my belly. Too full. But we went grocery shopping after eating a buffet dinner, so we only spent like $40 on a week's worth of groceries for two people. So we're like, no, we don't need food. No, we don't need food. Anyway, so hopefully everyone out there in the internets, hopefully your week was really good. I know my week was very, very busy, but very good. And yeah, so should we go into a week in review?
Yes.
Awesome. Last week was a lot of prepping for YarnCon and vending at YarnCon in Chicago, downtown Chicago, Illinois. If you came out and said hi, which a lot of you did, thank you so very much. Thank you for coming to the show. We appreciate it. I'm glad I got to meet everyone. I'm not going to name names because honestly, half of you I didn't get names with. It's just people mentioning that they watched the show. And if I even tried to remember, I'd forget somebody and feel horrible. So, but thank you so much for coming out. I love meeting people face to face, and you know, I may not always remember names, but I remember random facts and stories told between people when I meet you, you know, in after initial meetings. So, YarnCon was a blast. It was a whirlwind of 2 days, very, very busy. That show just never ceases to amaze me. It keeps growing every year, so it was a jam-packed house, and I think it especially helped that they got rid of any charge to get in this year, so we had a lot of people. It was a very, very fun show this year. So that was that, spending time in downtown Chicago, staying in a somewhat sketchy hotel, and driving back last night and coming back to work today. So didn't really get any rest this weekend, but it was good. And it's pretty much been my week. And then we've come back to a lot of work we need to get done. And we're going to be going to Indiana this upcoming weekend for our nephew's birthday, so that'll be fun. But also, you know, more time away from not getting stuff done that we need to get done. So it just kind of racks up on the list. But that's been my week. How about you?
My past week has been full. I will keep it light, but I did have a huge cut on my big toe on my right foot, and it's been there for a little bit, and I had it checked out, and it was just as bad as I thought it would be, and that is one why I did not go to YarnCon. So I'm sorry that everyone that I was looking forward to seeing everyone, and I'm sorry if I let you down by not being there, but my pain level and was not exactly at a small traveling pace, because I had this discussion with my mid-level boss, and I was saying that, like, you know, when you drive, like, I mostly use my toes to drive. I don't use, like, any other part of my foot to drive. So driving essentially 2.5 hours from my home, and then driving 2.5 hours back, and then driving out to the burbs for the birthday party just did not sound totally appealing to me after my doctor's visit on Tuesday. So I didn't go to YarnCon, and I didn't go to the birthday party, so I have presents to mail, which is going to be fun to find a box to fit those in now. It never seems like you're like, oh, I'm going to buy this gift, but never the thought, well, what if something happens and I have to ship it? So it's going to be like an odd size and everything, so that'll be fun to figure that out. But, so I'm sorry that I missed you. I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow to follow up to see how everything is going, and I may or may not be driving for a while. So if I don't drive, then that's going to put some complications on how I get to and from work. So it's one of those like things, if I do have to be in the position to not drive, it's really nice that I live at home at this point. And my dad is retired, so he can cart me back and forth. But we'll see. I think it'll hopefully go well tomorrow, and can't really speculate anything more on that. Other than that, the antibiotic that I was on was super powerful, so I was missing a lot of work last week on top of that too, because it was not a fun ride. So other than that, I mean, like, work is busy. We are picking up more clubs. I actually had a meeting last Thursday. It was my first full day back on Thursday, and we're starting this dog spin club. And one of the adult volunteers that is organizing the spin club lives, breathes, and knows everything about dogs. Like, sitting in the informational meeting, I learned more in 30 minutes about dogs than I ever had in my entire life. And so I'm really excited about that. We just launched that, and then we are launching an astronomy 4-H club. So that's really, really cool. And we've got a bee, pollinator bees spin club coming up, and then we're doing an aviation club as well. So we've got a lot of really cool clubs coming up, and a lot of like kind of niche sort of clubs, because it's not exactly like we have a large population of kids that are dying to know about bees, but we have enough to gain interest, and that's really cool. Same way with astronomy, dogs, it's going to be, kind of everybody joining. So I'm really excited about some of our work projects, but nonetheless, we're still people short, and we're still kind of overcommitting ourselves. So it's been a struggle bus to find work-life balance, but I think, in the end, it's totally worth it for the kids, because they really get to see other things that they may or may not be exposed to, and that's really great about 4-H. So work's going pretty well, other than that we're still swamped, but yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, the gist of the recaps of our weeks are we're both swamped. But we still have a little bit of progress to show you, so little bit being the key phrase there. So what's taking about this week? To be honest with you, I actually do have a finished object, but I was so close last week that it's kind of laughable. So I left the progress marker in. So I finished my periwinkle boomerang out of Barocco Boboli lace in color number 4393, which is periwinkle, on a size 6 US 4mm. And so here is the boomerang and all of it. Seriously, I'm also exhausted today. I'm trying not to show that, but you can see the progress marker right here. I had 3 garter ridges left to do, so 6 rows and a bind off. And that was all she wrote in terms of the yarn. So it kind of it doesn't really match the blues in what I'm wearing today, but again, you can always see why I like the shape of boomerangs, and it just zhuzh and it's done. It's done. All about the zhuzhing. I have not used the word zhuzh since show season last year. I use it all the time when we're working in our booth, because, in retail you push things to the front and you move things up the empty spots and stuff, so I'm always like, don't mind me, I'm just zhuzhing. So, but now I like this. I might keep it on, though I'll probably get warm. But that's all that I finished this past week, if you call that really a finish. But it is. Just didn't take that much, so. Do you have anything?
I don't, but if I wasn't on the antibiotics, I totally would have had a finished object. And I also would have been entered into the SSK pool for more tickets. So that just makes me a little bit more hating on this specific antibiotic. So mad.
All right, so that means we have things on the needles, though. So what is performing this week? The first thing for me is Midnight Ocean by Louise Zaspangam. I'm using Twisted Fiber Arts large evolution in the aerial base in the Gypsy colorway. Again, I have about that much yarn left, and not a whole lot of progress again. Here's the whole cowl ponchette thingamajigger. You can see the gradient there. Sorry, it is still daylight out-ish, but not the best of lighting. So you can see there's my progress keeper. So maybe like 10 rows or whatnot, but it is what it is. Every stitch gets you a little bit closer to the end. So I think I'm supposed to go for another 2 repeats and then do a little bit of ribbing at the bottom. We'll see where I fall with the yarn. I may only do 1 more repeat, so I'm not sure. And that's on a size 6 US 4mm as well, I believe. Yes. The next thing on my needles are my Reckless Love socks, and I realized once we hit the record button that I left them down in my book bag downstairs. So I didn't get much done on them. I finished the leg and got did the heel flap, and I turned the heel flap and picked up for the gusset today. So that's pretty much all I've got. I will keep the progress marker in where I have it, and then I'll show it to you next week. Hopefully I'll remember to bring them up next week. But the third thing for me is Banner Day by Megan Williams. I'm using Leading Men Fiber Arts Showstopper in the Metamorphosis colorway on size 5 US, which is 3.75mm needles. And this is going. Again, not a whole lot of progress. You can see the marker there. Let me just show you there. I did that much. Yeah, it's been kind of a crazy week.
What base was this?
Showstopper. I think she calls for Show Stealer, which is our MCN base on our pattern page, but I had a oops skein of Metamorphosis that had a couple knots in it, so I took it as a shop sample. But again, loving the way it's looking.
Yeah.
So
that's one of the things I want to cast on next.
It's a fun knit. It's enough to keep you interested, but it makes sense and it's intuitive. So the last thing I'm working on, I cast on for something as a shop sample and to work on at YarnCon, which I need something pretty easy, like really easy. Not even Banner Day easy, but super easy so that I can talk with people, and I need something that I can drop down at any second and go and help people and do whatnot. So I cast on for a Father Time cowl, which is by me, and it's super easy. And I always like to use one of our sock blanks so people who've never knit from a sock blank can see how it's done. So I had Andy pick a color, and then I didn't want to use that color, which is what I always do to him. He actually picked a color, and I said, yeah, not this one. And he's like, I give up! He was so fed up. So anyway, I picked this one, which I believe is called Jaywalk. That's what I called this one. So you can see the lovely purples and blacks and grays and blues, and there's hints of oranges. And this is all I have left. So surprisingly, I did a lot of knitting, mostly actually in the car and at the hotel at night. But I'm like halfway through the sock blank. So here's the Father Time cowl thus far. And I didn't really count how many stitches on this one. I did about 4 arm lengths and then long-tailed cast on. So you can see it'll open up there. It's a simple mesh. So that's where I'm at. And you'll see in my stash enhancement segment, one of the things I forgot to bring with was a stitch marker. So I was using on Friday a spare scrap piece of yarn. The same color as your project is not all that conducive to being a stitch marker, but I made it work, and then I picked up some stitch markers on Saturday morning. So and I do want to point out to you guys, I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not on the camera, but if you can see the spottiness on the yarn, that is the way we dye our sock blanks. It's not all the way saturated through the blank, so you get that kind of speckled, mottled. And I realized as this was knitting up, it almost looks like hand spun. With the lighter and darker shades. So I just wanted to point that out to you in case you were wondering, because everybody dyes their sock blanks a little bit differently. But I will tell you that the not saturating all the way through a blank is more common than you would think with dyers. It's just because of the knit fabric, it's hard to penetrate all the way through without putting so much dye on that it will then bleed and do things. So it's part of the appeal of the sock blank. So that's all that I'm currently working on this week.
I'm currently working on one thing and one thing only. mostly because I wanted the extra tickets. Not bitter. Not bitter. But I am working on the Creme de Menthe by Baby Cocktails. Baby Cocktail Knits, sorry. I don't know who Baby Cocktails is on.
Thea Coleman.
Thea Coleman. I knew who it was. I just was like having a brain fart. So I actually made really good progress on this, and because I'm don't have a cable longer at this moment, I did finish up this section, and then now I'm on the last. Well, yeah, I'm on the last section, and then I have the bind off left. I'm using Cascade 220, and I am knitting it on size 8 US 5.0 millimeter. And I really, really like this pattern. The charts are super easy to follow, so if you are intimidated by lace and prefer written out directions, I find this really easy to read and follow. I have a copy of the next 3 rows that I need to do written out, just because I don't have stickies at my house. I can't find post-it notes, so I think I know where some are at, but I didn't have them at the time, so I just wrote it out, and it took me maybe 3 minutes to do 3 rows, so it's super easy to follow. At least it is for me. I shouldn't say it is for everyone, but it's very intuitive, and Thea writes awesome patterns. Like, I could have probably picked this up hypothetically if I was drunk and probably have worked through it. So, but yeah, I really like it. As far as I know, on the project page, I think I'm the only one that has knit it in Cascade 220 as of the last time that I looked. So I'm curious. I know it's going to definitely be heavier and it's going to be warmer. And because it's all scrunched up, I'm curious to see how big it'll block out. And I'm not for sure what I'm going to do with it yet, if I'm going to gift it or keep it. So that's all that I'm actively working on.
So what's in rehearsal for us? What are we going to be casting on? I'm hoping to cast on 2 things very soon, as seeing as I'm allowed to finally cast them on. I just haven't been able to find the time. So the first thing I'm hoping to cast on is for the next SSK Knit Along, which is featuring the designer Mercedes Tarasevich. And I'm hoping to cast on Ayano using some Another Crafty Girl and Two Guys Yarn Company. It's a 2-color shawl, so I've shown that before. Hopefully I'll be able to show that to you maybe next week, hopefully. Do you have any plans for that knit along?
I have picked out a pattern, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's a cowl, and it uses skein. One of the recommended yarns to use is Fleece Artist, I'm going to probably mispronounce the Smoko, Somka, or O, not for sure. Anywho, but it was a gift to me, and the skein is beautiful, and I've been going back and forth if I want to use it yet, or if I still want it to be in my stash as one of my prétés, and so I'm kind of struggle busting it right there. But she has a lot of really great patterns, so it's kind of hard to narrow it down. I'm kind of looking at it from a time frame wise. I think I can get the cowl done. I don't know if I could get the shawl done, because I was really tempted to pick the same shawl, and I thought, oh, that'd be really nice if we knit something together. Then I was like, but time-wise, my April is pretty busy, and my May is getting stacked, too, so I was kind of like, I don't know if I can commit to that.
Yeah.
And then the next thing that we're going to cast on is...
Both of us.
Yep. Is the Quaker
lines.
I want to say ridges every time. It's going to be like a Raspberry Fizz versus Raspberry Parfait by
Susan Ashcroft.
Yeah.
And our local yarn store, Les Moutons Rouge Knittery, is hosting a knit along for that, and they had a cast on party on Saturday. Unfortunately, I was at YarnCon and Callie was homebound. So we both have not cast on, but we're both hoping to attend Knit Night tomorrow night and be able to cast on still at the shop just a little bit later. So That'll be coming. We're both going to be using Liberty Wool Light, which is kind of a long color changing yarn.
It's kind of funny because Steve picked out a color that I had my heart set on, but then he told me that he picked it out, and I was like, oh, we're already doing this together. I don't know if this would be...
And she totally picked out colors that I'm infatuated with. Mine are more feminine purple colors. Hers are more green, blue, brown colors. Yeah. So we may knit them and just swap.
Yeah.
Swap shawls.
I'm glad that you thought of that and I didn't have to say it out loud. That's kind of what I was thinking in the shop. I was like,
So those are what's going to be coming up on the needles very shortly. Behind the scenes, let's move into my spinning. So I did actually finish and wash and had ready to go at YarnCon my latest spin, which I was calling Calavera with a Twist. It was a wool pierogi bat with merino nylon, and Firestar called Calavera, and then I applied it with a ply of some alpaca nylon, and I actually got it done in time and took it to YarnCon. It did not sell, which is good. I could show it to you, but it's currently in the trailer, so we haven't unpacked the trailer yet. So I have a picture of it on my phone. I really like the way it came out. Let me see if I can blow it up so you guys can see it a little better. I was really happy with the way it came out, so there it is. Let's see if it'll focus or not. So you can see there, it's got subtle hints in the white ply with some multicolors, and then it went between white and black, and then the alpaca was brown. So I thought it was really pretty. So maybe if I get it unpacked, I'll show it to you next week if I remember. But I did move on to my next spinning, which is my final commission spinning for my current client before I move on to the next client, which put in an order at Stitches Midwest last year. But I told them it was going to be a while, so don't worry. They're not mad at me. Yeah, they're not throwing shade.
Ooh.
So the last thing I'm spinning for this current client is some Into the World Polworth silk in Cerulean Dream, which looks like this. Got some dark browns, some greens into blues. Did I say browns? I meant blues. Dark blues, light blues, sky blues. Dark greens, light greens. That's a Cerulean Dream. So I've gotten across the bobbin a little bit and a little bit back. That's all I've gotten done. But, I'm just keeping the focus, keeping the blinders on. So anyway, that's what I've been working on. That'll be a 2-ply fractal spun, because that's what I'll do.
Don't worry, I have nothing.
All right. So sorry, I'm shaking the desk. I want to write down the shoulder. Told you I'm tired. So tired. You know what? High schoolers wear you out, let me just tell you. And high schoolers with attitude the majority of the day wear you out so much. Anyway, so let's move on to in the scene shop. What's going on in the world of cross stitch with Steve? Stuff and things. I did not finish my current project, which I was hoping to do, but cut me some slack, folks. This project is from Dimensions. It's a Dimensions kit called I'd Agree. It's one of their stitch widths. And the quote goes, I'd agree with you, but then we'd both be wrong. So I'm almost done with wrong. You can see the needle in there from this morning that I was just going to start. I got set up. So it says, but then we'd both be wrong. So, but I got the period in there, so don't worry. Proper punctuation from the teacher. So that's going. But I'm really, I'm liking this. So that's that. Not much to share there. It's an easy stitch.
I'm looking at taking a beginner's class, not this weekend, but next weekend. I find that when I am trying to do new crafts of any type, that I do better when someone shows me through a class. That's how I feel a little bit more comfortable with quilting. That's how I feel more comfortable with stamping, card making in general, scrapbooking. So I feel like classes are my gateway drug. So why not take advantage of knowing that I learned better this way. So it is to make a counted cross stitch bookmark. So that seems manageable. And the owner, Kelly, of the local cross stitch store, is that?
Local needle shop.
Yes.
Or the local needle store. The LNS.
My faux pas.
And what's crazy is both of the owners of our LNS and LYS for local yarn shop are both named Kelly.
Yep. I feel a kinship towards Kelly. I mean, both Kellys, but the one in the LNS because she is from Kentucky, and so whenever I'm around here, I feel like it's okay. I never lived in Kentucky. I never lived in the South in general, but we always spent pretty much every break down there, so I feel like I slip in and out of Southern speaking quite easily with Kelly. Like, I feel like it's okay, and she accepts it. But to me, I'm like, don't do that. It is what it is.
All right. A round of... No, in the spotlight. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Hi. What are we watching and reading? Well, let me tell you. Not watching much because I don't have time. Yeah, I really didn't watch anything. I watched the majority of Trainwreck on Saturday night after the first day of YarnCon. Andy pretty much passed out, and I watched the majority of it, and then I was like, I didn't think it was like all that good. I mean, it was funny. It made me chuckle a couple of times, but I was like, I'm not that invested that I want to stay up past when I got tired. So I eventually fell asleep. I am reading some things. I have not finished anything. I'm close to finishing something in the car. I picked up a book that Callie read. I'm reading at school, but I'm only about halfway through it, so it'd be interesting to talk to her about it, but I won't bore you guys on the podcast with that. But I'll let you know more about it when I finish it. So, that's all that I'm watching and reading this week.
Due to being homebound for most of last week and this weekend, I had the great honor and privilege of catching up on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. So, past seasons. And I don't know why, but I feel like when I am just not feeling well, VH1 tends to be like my channel of choice. Some people do HGTV or the Food Network, or nope, go straight to VH1 to see what's on. I mean, there's a lot of shows that I like on there anyways, but it's nothing. Like, at one point while I was watching VH1, I was like, Callie, you are watching a show that basically is saying it's okay to, you know, be a side chick and, like, be okay with that, but still, like, be married and, like, all kinds of weird craziness. I was like, you do not promote this in your own life. So why are you watching this? And then I shut it down for a long time, but then I was like, I gotta know how it ends. So, like, I found myself in the, found myself watching the reunion show, which is a hot mess. Any VH1 reunion show is a hot mess. Like, there is not a VH1 reunion show that I know that has went off without someone getting up and fighting or just cussing someone out on stage. So, really, hot mess all around. So, I don't know. I don't know what that says about me. I hope you don't think less of me. But even if you do, whatevs. But I'm still reading Royal Dolls, the BFG. I don't want you to think this is a long book. It's not. I'm just really savoring it this time around as an adult. Because there was a passage in this past chapter that I read that, like, really stuck with me. I remember reading it as a kid thinking, like, oh, this is, you know, whatever. But as an adult, I was like, wow, this is when you know that as an author of kids books and you put in a subtle message and then you go back to reread it, like, man, I should have been worshiping this author a lot more. So it's really neat. And I'm excited to finish. Like, I want to reread all of Royal Dahl's books. His kids' books, at least. He did write for adults, but I feel like that might ruin my thoughts on him. So I'm excited to reread all of his books. And that's all about that I am doing. Nothing that I'm listening new to.
Stash enhancement, y'all. I wasn't horrible, but I got some. So, let me start off first of all with my Three Waters Farm Top of the Month Club shipment that I got from April. This month's shipment was Targi, and it is in the colorway Storm Cloud Over Flowers. And as always, beautiful. So, lovely pops of bright colors on top of those multi-toned grays.
I feel like I want to join this club just so that way you can spin this for me.
Right, because I've got all the time. You don't see the whole bucket of fiber that I still have.
I know.
Of theirs, but...
I know where you live, though.
Yeah, that's true. Alright, what else? So then, YarnCon. So, as I said, I forgot a stitch marker for this cowl. So, Saturday morning, right before the shop opened, I ran over to my good friend Jelby, who is Carrie, and I said, I need some stitch markers, because I love her stitch markers, and I continually use the ones that I bought last year, which she names her stitch marker colorway sets, which last year I bought Teal We Meet Again, which were black with teal beads. And then this year I got one called Moonstone, because it just spoke to me. I really liked the bling with the natural colors. So these ones fit up to a size 6.
She does such great work.
You can see the wonderful color assortment there. You can find her at jelby.etsy.com. So,
the last set I got from her was Highlighter Rainbow. And because I love office supplies and I'm a little OCD about them, makes my heart pitter and patter.
The next thing that I picked up was a kit, because pretty much at this point I'm stash saturated to where, like, and I know my stash over here, which is all my stash, but I do have some fiber and sweater lots over here, so I've got a decent amount. But it's small compared to a lot of people's, though, too. But I personally am at the point that I'm like, unless it's got a plan, I don't need just random yarn. Because then I got to come home and I've got to make it into a plan. Because I'm in the mindset right now, if I go out and buy yarn, I come home and I've got to pair a project to it. I want it to be a potential project, not stash. That's just the way I'm looking at it. So if you want me to buy yarn in an event that I'm at, put a kit together.
Put a kit on it.
Pair the pattern with it, which is what, that's why we try to hold patterns in our booth and whatnot. But anyway, Dragonfly Fibers had quite a few kits. They had kits for their brand new book, which is called, I believe, Modern Knits, which we have to review. And they actually gave us yarn to give away with the book we're going to give away. But we're going to wait till probably next week to review that. We're a little tired and a little exhausted today, and I want to make sure that we give it the due justice. Yeah. So, I picked up a kit for Ashburn by Melanie Berg, and there's a picture of the kit there. And they had 2 different color sets. One was the one pictured, which, surprise, I got. And I actually asked Andy what he liked. And then they had like a tan, a dark brown, and a barn door red. But I picked up this one, which has the dark teal, the aqua, and that saffron orange. And this is on their Dragon Sock base, which is 100% superwash merino, 390 yards, in the colorways Kelpie, Cognac, and Cheshire Cat. So, gotta love a good kit.
It kind of does look like you and Andy, though, because Andy's would totally go for Cognac, and while not your perfect teal, this is
close to perfection. It's a little darker than our perfection colorway, which is named Perfection because I love teal. So I picked up that kit, and let me just show you really quick. They were so generous. I got to talk to one of the owners of Dragonfly Fibers. The other owner was actually vending at Stitches South how they could manage 2 shows. But
that's awesome.
they had 2 ladies there. One was the owner, one was, I don't know, a worker or whatnot. But they were both very nice. Got to talk with them about the book and things of that nature. And they said, oh, well, let me give you some yarn from the book. So this actually pairs up with one of their sock patterns, which is the Picasso socks. So they gave us a skein of yarn to give away, along with the digital copy of the book when we review it. So this is on their dragon sock as well in the, what did you say it was? Because I can't pronounce it.
I have to look at it a little closer. I think it's Passage Mediterraneo. I think it's Mediterranean Passage is what it
translates to.
Yeah.
But it is beautiful. So it's an odd mix of colors I would have never thought to put together, but it is very, very pretty. So, and they pulled this from a piece of artwork, hence why I'm modding it. So, all right. The last thing that I picked up, I only picked up a kit and stitch markers, and I picked up one thing of yarn, only because I've been wanting to get one of these from this vendor since I've met them, and I've not gotten one. And I really wanted to get one at ZK last year, and Andy let me get one thing, and I went to a different vendor that I've not tried from before. So
you met them the first year that you started podcasting, because they were at Stitches Midwest.
Right. I don't think I ever really talked with her though. I had heard about them that year. But I gotten to talk to her at the first YarnCon that we vended, and we actually did a swap. So, but I picked this up from Sophie's Toes Sock Yarn. This is one of her magic balls, which is 15 sections of mini skeins that are tied together, and it's 525 yards or 150 grams of fingering weight, 100% superwash merino, and this is in the colorway Coffee Shop. Sorry about the glare. But you can see there, it's all little mini skeins, and they all coordinate, and they're tied together, so you could just knit the knots in, or if you really wanted to break them and weave them in yourself, you could. But I thought that was pretty. So I know Emily, she's the owners of Sophie's Toes. She came out with a really simple cowl pattern that I might have to look at, or I might take a look at what other people have done with her projects. I know Banner Day. I know Megan Williams did a Banner Day out of this. I'm not going to do one of those since I'm doing one right now, but I enjoyed that. So I was pretty good, and that's all that I picked up at YarnCon. Do you have any stash enhancement?
I don't.
Good for you. All right, let's move into a round of applause, and we'll be soon over with this. 45 minutes this week, not too bad. So we want to talk about our new knit-along that's coming up, our featured designer knit-along.
Yes. So I did take down the post that was originally uploaded on Friday night because I realized I had forgotten 2 designers, and I just have not gotten a chance to repost it. I had talked to Steve about this. We're not going to talk about it on the podcast about why I had some confusion on some things. So we just wanted to clarify, and I didn't feel that Steve needed to take a moment away from YarnCon with visiting with you guys as well as doing business to answer my question that is easily could wait for. So the post will be up, and it will be up when I get home after I make 2 modifications to it, the 2 additions. And so the rules are you can start now, and you will have until June. I want to have it run through June 30th.
So 3 months.
Yep, 3 months. And the deal is, you might already have a pattern in your library, or you might have bought it through your local yarn shop or whatever. You can use any pattern that you have in your library or stash, and if you would like to, you can purchase any new pattern, because all of these designers have been a featured designer in the past at some point, and quite frankly, a lot of them come out with new patterns. And so there was some of the featured designers in our earlier episodes that, they had stuff, but there was a couple of patterns that didn't totally appeal to me, and I went back to their shop and I was like, I want this all. Why did I wait? So, give the designers a chance. Maybe if you didn't like their designs before. You might find something new, or you might see something in a different project knit up in a different way. And so these designers have been really gracious to us over the years and have been extremely generous with their time, their pattern support, and generosity overall. So we will come back and do this every once in a while throughout the years. And so it has to be cast on by now, so April 4th, and then you'll have until January 30th. You can use any...
June 30th.
June 30th. And it can be any base of yarn. It can be any pattern.
Any weight, big, small, doesn't matter, because some people have very small patterns.
Yep.
Some people have very large sweater-like patterns.
Yep. So 1 entry per item. Unless you use any base of Leading Men Fiber Arts, then you can enter it twice. You can also double dip into the Race to the Finished Object, but you can only post your item once. The Leading Men Fiber Arts base, any base of yarn, is only applicable to this cow. So.
And feel free to double dip into other podcasts
Yes.
or contests if it falls into line with that. So you can do that. I know that one of our past featured designers, Lucia Payne, premiered a new shawl at our booth this weekend, and she is hosting a knit along for it this month in her podcast group. So if you decide to knit that, you can double dip. Though that being said, I am considering, I'm just putting it out there, hosting it along in the Leading Men Fiber Arts group in May and June for that project. So if you want to knit something small in April from another designer and then work on that, you can. But that'll come out later. But I just wanted to say that you can double dip amongst other contests.
And like I said, there's something out there for everyone. There's tons of, great shawl patterns, sock patterns, hat patterns, mitts, sweaters, you name it, we got it featured somewhere. So thank you again to all of our featured designers. I tried to give you a big love in the post, and I hope you feel that from Steve and I, because we truly appreciate it. So it's time to give back a little love too.
And if you have any questions regarding the knit along, you can feel free to talk in the chatter thread, and maybe somebody else in the watching the podcast can help answer, or Callie will jump on.
Yep.
Or you could also private message Callie directly on Ravelry.
Yes.
All right. We do want to give one shout out, especially to one of our viewers who was so generous. They donated yarn and patterns as prizes to the podcast, and we thank you so much.
Thank you.
Kim, you know who you are. I'm just going to go by first name, but I had the pleasure of meeting up with her not once but twice this weekend, and she was outrageously generous and sweet and gave Callie and I a card with a wonderful gift in there. So we just wanted to say thank you so much.
Thank you.
From the bottom of our hearts.
It was not anything that we expected, but we totally appreciate it, and you definitely made my day a lot brighter, so thank you, Kim.
Okay, so March's Race to the Finished Object. March is over, done, went over like that. And
I don't even remember March.
Oh, life is just, it's a whirlwind, let me tell you. Before I know it, I'm going to be on summer break.
I graduate on Saturday, so.
Yay! From our leadership training, not
Yes.
like master's degree or doctorate or...
One day.
PhD. Callie Karen, PhD. All
Pretty
right.
much will be.
March, we drew per prizes.
Yes, we did.
The first prize was 2 skeins of Knit Picks Capra DK in the Celestial colorway. And just going to show you one, but there are 2 skeins. It's a DK weight, 123 yards, so you get a total of 246 yards of 85% merino wool, 15% cashmere, and that beautiful royal blue.
And there are some great projects from our featured designer that would be great for this yarn pairing. So just check that out.
So we pulled for a winner, and the winner was, I didn't write down the names or the numbers, but the winner was Malin B. and that's Malin. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. It may be Milan. And she's from Virginia, and she did a wonderful bandana cowl. So thank you, Malin, for entering and showing off your beautiful finished object. If you would, please contact me, Dramatic Knits, on Ravelry, and let me know your first and last name and complete mailing address, and I will get this out in the mail to you. And hopefully you can knit along with us for our featured designer knit along using some yarn you won off the podcast. Our second winner was a pattern from March's featured designer, who was Megan Sanders, and the winner of that was number, and I think I had it up here. I can give you a number on that one because I still am up on that page.
27.
137. Who was Mystery Sewer, and that's Sandy from Ontario, Canada, and she did some wonderful rye socks by Tin Can Knits in a wonderful blue-gray colorway. So, congratulations to Sandy. Sandy, if you would, please take a look at Megan Sanders' designer page on Ravelry, and I've linked to that in our show notes, which can be found at dramaticknits.com. And you just let me know, Dramatic Knits on Ravelry, what pattern you would like of hers, and I will let Megan know, and she will gift it to you. So, congratulations to both ladies, and thank you, everyone, for showing off your finished objects for the month, and kudos to you on getting some finished objects, because Lord knows we're lacking on them. So, but you're not.
You know, it's funny because I was like,
yeah, it was real funny.
Shut up. So, anyways, I said, "Are those?" Because you said they were rye socks right away, and I said,
Click on it.
Click on the picture." But that just shows how I am not into popular patterns or really, just keeping up with trends, which might help if I could. So then that way I could be a little bit diverse in my knitting. But
it is what it is. Happen. Okay, so that means that April has started. And you want to talk about our prize for this month?
Would I?
Because she picked it out last weekend.
I did. So, as you guys know, I work for 4-H, so I'm a little partial to this shade of green, because this is actually technically our 4-H green. This is a skein of shepherd's wool, and it is made in Michigan, so it is a made in USA product. It is a worsted spun fine wool, and it is in the green colorway. It's 4 ounces and it's 250 yards.
So about DK weight.
Yeah. So.
Though I think they call it a worsted. I'm not sure. You might check Ravelry. I've never knit with it on personally, but I have seen it around a lot.
Yeah.
So, and that was generously donated to us, so thank you to
thank you
know who. And then we have a new featured designer for the next 3 months. So for April, May, and June, our new featured designer is Nicole Drill. I tried this before. Drew Illard. There we go. Who is Mercantile 419, I believe, on Ravelry. So thank you, Nicole, so much for agreeing to be our featured designer. I'm sorry, I'm a little slap happy. You can't blame me. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. It's almost 8 o'clock at night, Cal. Anyway, and I've been up since 5:30.
I recognize Nicole by her profile picture, and I follow her on Instagram, so I kind of know what Nicole's got going on in her life, and she's pretty cool. So
she is, and I had the pleasure of meeting her in Michigan this last fall season at the Fall Fiber Expo in Ann Arbor. So we got to chatting, and when I said I needed a new featured designer, she said, I'll do it. And I said, okay. So she'll be our new featured designer. She's got a good collaboration of lovely patterns and different things going on. So she's definitely not one that sticks to a niche. She's got a bunch of different items in her pattern library. So so thank you again, Nicole, for agreeing.
And Nicole is also one of our featured designers within our knit along. So if you don't want to wait to see if you might be a winner in the race to the finished object, definitely pick up one of her patterns, so then that way you can knit it during the cowl. So
all right, we're going to quickly move into center stage, all things Lady Men Fiber Arts, because it's going to be really quick, so I'm not even going to say bye normally. I do want to tell you that YarnCon was a great success for us, so thank you again to everyone who came by and shopped the booth. We had, I think, our best booth to date. It was a double booth, but it just had a good flow to it. We were really happy with it. We need to cut down the setup time. We made it in plenty of time for YarnCon, but we have shows coming up in 2 weeks that we don't have as much setup time. So we need to get a system going. But we had lots and lots of stock, which went home with a lot of you. So now we're like, how do we replenish that? But we've got plenty to bring to our next event, which is the Fiber event in Greencastle, Indiana. And that'll be on the 15th and 16th of April. If you're in the area, come by, come say hi. And then upcoming shows after that, the first weekend in May, we will be in Marion, Iowa at the Shepherd's Market, I believe is what they're calling it. So check us out there. And then the weekend after that, I can officially announce it because we got confirmation. We will be at the, what is this one called? Spring Fiber Fling, I believe is what it is called. Yes,
Killing it today.
Spring Fiber Fling. I'm sorry, my brain has gone to mush. Which is up in Woodstock, Illinois. So check them out. That's going to be at the McHenry County Fairgrounds. So check us out there. We're excited. I believe this is the second year they're hosting that. So it's going to be a back-to-back-to-back. I think there's Fiber event, a week off, maybe 2, and then 2 weeks in a row. And then we have a break until ZK, which is the first weekend in June. Exciting. I was at Ditz last weekend, and we have a brand new colorway of the month, and I forgot to show it to you. So pre-orders have been up. A lot of you saw it on Instagram and have been ordering it over the weekend while we were at YarnCon, but I thought I'd come and show it to you. It is the 4th of April. This will be open for pre-orders through the 8th. At that point, we will be closing it down. But I'm really in love with this colorway. It's much more subtle, especially since March's colorway was so neon, right? Neon pencil and speckle-tastic. This is more of a layered color, and we came up with this colorway, and I knew right away what I wanted to call it, and I don't really know why, but it struck me. So this is called Gatsby, after the Great Gatsby. I just get that feel from it, especially if you've seen the book cover with the eyes and the blue, and it's the book cover. Yeah, it's the book cover that most high school books have. But anyway, this is called Gatsby, and it's a lovely blue with hints of a yellowish green undertones to it. So much more subtle. You can do a lot more with it, but yet it's not just a semi-solid. There's layers and tones to it, and I'm really happy with the way this came out. So you can see from the picture that I posted on Instagram and on our Facebook group and Ravelry and whatnot, this is one that the dyes kind of do what they want to do. We let them meld and we let them layer, but they're going to come out differently every time. So you can see that there are differences amongst all the different types of skeins. It's not just the type of wool and the base that it's on. It's just, it depends on the dye batch. So just be prepared for that. That's always in the listing that we put up for pre-orders, that you're not getting the one pictured. I mean, one person is, because we've dyed it up. But the majority of people who pre-order, you won't get the one that's pictured. You'll get one that's dyed up for you. So just be prepared for that. But, man, I impressed myself with this one. So I'm really happy with that.
That is really, really spot on to the book cover.
Yeah, that green, it's like you can see the green lamp through that overwhelming blue of the book title, of the book jacket. So
that was one of the books we read for advanced junior reading, and I loved the book so much that I finished it within the first week that we had it assigned, and I was like, I don't know what y'all doing, but I'm waiting for you to catch up, so that way we can have a discussion.
I did have 2 skeins that have been updated to the shop this past week. Not a whole lot, so we did have a show this week, but we do have some Show Stealer up in Copper Cloud, which is ever so popular. And that's our MCN-based fingering weight. And then also we have a Director's Interpretation Blue in Spotlight. So Andy kind of forgot how to do Deep Sea and didn't put the dyes in right, and it came out beautifully blue with subtle tonalities in it. but it is not deep sea. So this is a director's interpretation, one of a kind. I believe there are 2 skeins on Spotlight, which is 80% superwash BFL, Blueface Leicester, and 20% nylon. So
That's a perfect Cookie Monster blue.
yeah, it is, isn't it? Anyway, so that's that. And don't forget the pre-orders for Gatsby. Other than that, I think that's all we have for you this week. I said 45 minutes and we got to yapping, and now it's almost an hour. I'm gonna let you go because I need to edit this and honestly get ready for bed because I'm an old fogey and I'm in bed by 9. Plus Andy's got to get in bed. He's got to work at 4 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. So anyway, I hope you have a good week, Callie. We'll be seeing each other tomorrow.
Yep.
And I hope you all have a great week. And until then,
We hope you
knit something dramatic.